March 1st, 1950. President Harry Truman steps up to the podium, holding a single sheet of paper, a confession that would stun the world. The Soviet Union's atomic bomb, detonated, years ahead of schedule, wasn't stolen. It was handed over by one of America's own scientists. Truman whispers the name that would echo through the Cold War. Klaus Fuchs. He wasn't just any scientist. He'd worked side by side with Oppenheimer, helped design the Fat Man bomb dropped on Nagasaki, and secretly copied those blueprints for Joseph Stalin. The spy who made the Cold War go nuclear was hiding in plain sight. September 1949. President Truman shocks the nation again. The Soviet Union has detonated its first atomic bomb. The impossible had happened. America's 4-year nuclear monopoly gone. Overnight, intelligence agencies panic. How did Stalin's scientists crack problems that took Los Alamos years to solve? The answer, buried deep in Venona, a secret U.S. code-breaking program, pointed to a mole, a spy inside Los Alamos, codenamed Rest. Our story begins years earlier in wartime Britain. A young German refugee named Klaus Fuchs, 30 years old, brilliant, and deeply scarred by the Nazis, who destroyed his family. He fled Germany to fight fascism the only way he knew how, with his mind. By 1941, he was working on Britain's secret atomic project, tube alloys. When Hitler invaded the Soviet Union, Fuchs's loyalties split. To him, the USSR wasn't the enemy. It was the only country standing between Hitler and total domination. But Fuchs saw something darker. Britain and America were developing an atomic bomb and deliberately excluding Stalin. He believed that if one nation controlled such a weapon, it could enslave the world. So he made a decision that would change history. He would share atomic secrets, not for money, not for fame, but for balance. Fuchs contacted Jurgen Kuczynski, head of Britain's communist network, and volunteered to help the Soviets. He believed the bomb should belong to all, mankind, or to no one at all. By day, he helped Britain's scientists. By night, he copied their research for Moscow. Over 500 pages of blueprints, equations, and reports flowed through his hands, directly to Stalin. In 1943, when Britain joined forces with the US under the Quebec Agreement, Fuchs was transferred to the new joint project, the Manhattan Project. Los Alamos, New Mexico, 1944. The world's top minds gathered in secrecy to build the most destructive weapon ever conceived. Klaus Fuchs joined the theoretical division under Hans Bethe. His job, calculate how to compress plutonium into a supercritical mass, the core of the Fat Man bomb. He wasn't just a contributor, he was indispensable. While others struggled with math, Fuchs could calculate chain reactions from memory. That same year, he met his new Soviet contact, Harry Gold, a mild-mannered chemist who looked like an ordinary pharmacist. They met in secret, exchanging envelopes and formulas. In 1945, inside a church mission in Santa Fe, Fuchs handed Gold an envelope containing the complete blueprints for the Fat Man bomb. The Soviet Union now had America's crown jewel. July 16th, 1945, at the first atomic test in history, Trinity, Fuchs watched the mushroom cloud rise over the desert, his face glowing in the firelight. He realized that the power he helped unleash now belonged to two nations, not one. Between 1944 and 1945, Fuchs leaked everything: chain reaction math, reactor designs, gaseous diffusion methods, even early notes on the hydrogen bomb. Known as the Super, he was invisible, copying notes by hand, memorizing formulas like a machine. In the most guarded facility in America, he was the most dangerous man there. Summer 1949. MI5 in London receives a decoded message from the Venona project, a Soviet cable, mentioning a scientist codenamed Rest. The details match perfectly. Los Alamos physicist, British communist ties. All signs point to Klaus Fuchs. But they can't use the Venona evidence. It would expose the code-breaking operation. They need one thing: a confession. MI5 assigns their best interrogator, Jim Scarden, December 1949. Stalin invites Fuchs to MI5 headquarters for a routine review. Calm, polite conversation. But every word is a trap. Over weeks, Stalin slowly tightens the noose, feeding small facts only the spy would know. Fuchs begins to crack. January 24, 1950. Stalin lays out the evidence, meetings, locations, names. Fuchs goes silent. Then, 3 days later, he walks back into the office, pale and shaking. "I have come to tell you everything." For 6 straight hours, he tells his story, the meetings with Agent Sonia, the exchanges with Harry Gold, and how he passed the blueprints of Fat Man, and even the early hydrogen bomb designs. To Moscow, when Stalin asks why, Fuchs replies calmly, "I wanted to prevent any one nation from holding such a terrible weapon alone." It wasn't hatred. It was conviction, the kind that changes the world, for better or worse. By 1950, Klaus Fuchs is sentenced to 14 years in prison, the maximum penalty for leaking secrets to a wartime ally. But his confession sets off a chain reaction. The FBI arrests Harry Gold in May 1950. Gold names David Greenglass, who implicates his brother-in-law, Julius Rosenberg. The Rosenbergs are executed in 1953, the first civilians in U.S. history put to death for espionage. A week after Fuchs's confession, Truman orders development of the hydrogen bomb. The arms race explodes, literally. By 1952, the U.S. detonates its first H-bomb. By 1955, the Soviets follow. Fuchs's dream of balance becomes a nightmare, of mutual destruction. Klaus Fuchs served 9 years in prison. In 1959, he walked free, disappearing into East Germany, where he continued his work as a nuclear physicist behind the Iron Curtain.